Hello, good evening, happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve, everyone. Welcome to Courtside. You with your host for today, Johanna-Rosalye, and I am joined by my co-host and great friend, Criss Partee. How are you, Chris?
Johanna, what's going on? What's going on? Inside people, inside network folks, how y'all doing?
Good, doing great. Trying to keep up with all of these news that have been happening today. It's kind of, just boom, boom, boom type of deal today. So, which we will go ahead and get into. Of course, this is Courtside, which we will be bringing you all the latest basketball news that have been happening in the NBA playoffs. So, there's a lot to run through, but
Oh,
we will
yeah.
do our best to keep everyone informed. Ready to go ahead and kick it off, Chris?
I'm ready to do it. Where you want to start at? Where you want to start at, Johanna?
All right, let's go ahead and kick it off with Ben Simmons. He's expected to make his season debut with the Nets in Game 4 against the Celtics, Chris. So there's been a lot of rumors with Ben Simmons. Is he going to start? Is he not? Is it ideal? Is it wise to he just wait for next season, given the playoffs and the intensity and so forth? And then Steve Nash came out yesterday commenting that he's just leaving it on Ben Simmons. He will know, and when he's ready, he will go ahead and let Steve Nash know. So now there's been several reports as of this morning that he plans to go ahead and make his season debut in Game 4.
Johanna, I'm really of the mindset now that I will believe Ben Simmons is coming back when I see him at game time taking off the sweatsuit, the sweatpants, and whether he's in the starting lineup or coming off the bench. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, we've been promised basically all year, even going back to when he was with the Sixers, when he first got to the Nets. We were told, he was doing this, he was getting ready, all these things. Even up to like a month ago, we were hearing that he could come back soon. It was always soon, and Steve Nash didn't seem to ever know what's going on with the Nets. Like, he's not, in my opinion, he's not even really coaching that team. It's Kyrie and Kevin Durant that are coaching that team, actually. He's just like a figurehead because he never seems to know what's happening. He just doesn't, in my opinion. So I'll believe it when I see it with Ben Simmons. I really will.
All right. So we'll go ahead and just leave it at that. All I will say on a comment on it is pretty much along the same lines. I'll believe it. I don't think that it's wise for him. We talked about it in Inside Sports Talk yesterday when I had Ed Smith on, just saying, with that going back to that intensity, how intense the NBA playoffs you haven't played in over a season. You haven't played in pretty much a year. Now you expect to come back. You don't have those reps in. You don't have, you haven't played with the guys. So there's a lot of factors that go into play with that. So I don't think it's wise. Why go in? You're recovering from an injury, and it's his back, and to possibly even make it worse. And even if you just step in the court for a few minutes, 10 minutes. So I say, don't even think about it. Just set it out and come back next season.
And if they lose Game 3, just what's the point of bringing him back Game 4? You're probably not going to come back and win that. More than likely, not coming back from 3-0. So if they lose Game 3, what's the point, right?
Right. So
I don't get it.
Who gets it? But going on to our next report, Khris Middleton is expected to be out at least 2 weeks for the Milwaukee Bucks with an MCL sprain. That news and that report came out earlier today. It's one of those, like kind of what, for at least for me, I was like, what? I was not expecting that. So, Chris, you have a little bit more of an insight being on that side of the country and closer. What's the noise that you hear with Khris Middleton and being out, and how does it affect the Bucks?
Kind of basically, what you just said. He's going to be out. I think they said 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. When I was actually watching that game last night, and you could see that. I didn't see the exact play where it happened, but you could see at a certain point that he was kind of laboring, and he just didn't look like himself. So, I mean, I wasn't thinking, MCL, but I knew it might be some kind of sprain or strain, somewhere in his legs, something in his knee possibly. Luckily, it's not an MCL tear because, if that was the case, he'd probably just be done, especially if it was an ACL tear or something like that. But they're going to miss him. They lost that game last night. They tried to make a comeback, and then the Bulls were able to push it back a little bit. I still think the Bucks will win this series against Chicago, but in the next round, and especially if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals again, they're going to need Khris Middleton, not just out there, but they're going to need him to be healthy. He's their second best player. Jrue Holiday is great. Lopez is great as well, but neither one is as good a player as Khris Middleton has become, really over the last 3 years or so. So, the deeper they go, the more they're going to need him. But I think against the Bulls, they'll be fine. But I do think the Bulls should be able to push this to at least 6 games now. I thought it was going to be more like a sweep or 5 games, as long as everybody on the Bucks were healthy. But, this might go the distance now, in my opinion, honestly.
Who did you say that you're giving this series to?
The Bucks. Definitely I'm still giving it to the Bucks. I just think Giannis, I think Coach Bud they'll make their adjustments from what didn't work in Game 2 last night, and then you had to deal with Middleton's injury and all the different circumstances. So I think they'll make the necessary adjustments going back to Chicago. But I do think it'll go either 6 or 7 games now, which I didn't feel it would go that far in the beginning. But with Middleton out, I mean that's a good chunk of their offense there as far as scoring goes. For the Bucks. So, I mean, Giannis is not going to average like 40 points a game. Other guys are going to have to pick it up in place of Khris Middleton. I think they have the supporting cast that can do that, but I do think the Bulls will get another game or 2 out of this series with Middleton being out.
Yeah, I think, yesterday, I did watch some of yesterday's game. So I didn't, I thought that Middleton was going to be okay. Didn't expect him to be, the 2 to 3 week mark. That's why this morning when that came out, I was like, whoa, I was like, okay. But I will say that the Bulls, they do have a fight in them, and they're not a team to just, cast off to the side and saying they're not competitive, if they're not gonna, put up a fight. Because obviously we saw that, with Chicago, and yeah, I think that they're going to go 6 games, possibly a 7.
Okay.
But maybe a long stretch, especially with Middleton being out. He is a key component to the team, and even Giannis. So with him out, it's gonna harm the Bucks, and they're gonna struggle the next few games. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks end up even coming out and possibly even winning it. So because I don't see the Bucks being the Bucks that I got to see last year in the playoffs. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't been a big buyer in a reliever in the Bucks all year. I thought they got I thought they got a few breaks last year as far as making it to and winning the finals. Taking nothing away from them. I actually live in Chicago. I'm not, trying to be a homer. I'm not, for the Bulls or anything. I do still think Milwaukee will win the series, but I'm not a big believer in them going back to back this year, making it back to the finals. I'll put it like this: I've given Phoenix a better shot all year of getting back to the finals than I have the Bucks. I'll put it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other things have happened for both teams now since then, but I still put it like that. And I'll go you one even further. If the Bucks can get past the Bulls still, it looks like they're probably going to play Boston in the second round. If Khris Middleton's not ready, they're not going to win that series. I'll put it like that. They're not going to beat Boston. The way Boston's been playing since, I guess, January, going into the All-Star break and coming out of the All-Star break, I mean, they worked their way all the way back up to second play, or, the second seed, the number 2 seed in the East. If Middleton's not ready, or if he's still kind of hampered by that injury, they're not going to beat Boston if it is Boston that goes on to the second round. It's not.
And I think even if Middleton is ready and he does return and they do face out the Celtics, goodness, they've been wowing me. Yesterday when I was watching that game, I was just beside myself. I'm like, I could not believe my eyes. So I don't even think that Bucks are going to have too great of a shot against the Celtics if they do end up even having Middleton back. So it's going to make for a great series nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be one to go for the long haul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I definitely agree with you there.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and head on west. This one hurts, Chris.
I know it does. Already, by that sigh, I knew where you were going next. I just like, all right, let's do it.
Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Phoenix Suns guard, the star, Devin Booker, is expected to be out 3 to 4 games. So I will say this, the team has not officially made a comment or any type of release with regards to Devin Booker. As of yesterday, all I said that there's not a time frame for him to return. All the reports have been coming through ESPN saying that he's expected to be out definitely game 3, expected to be out 2 to 3 weeks or 3 to 4 weeks. But still, the team has not released the statement. Monty Williams hasn't commented as of yet. So I know they're holding hopes of his strain. It's a hamstring, I believe it's the right hamstring tendon. So, and hoping that, hey, maybe it's not such a big deal. He can come back and be present for game, maybe miss out game 3, but could be present for game 4. But that's going to hurt them a little bit, I believe. But their Phoenix Suns are deep enough as far as during the season, if you saw when Devin Booker wasn't playing for a time and Chris Paul wasn't playing for a time, they were still able to go ahead and be effective and still able to go ahead and win games. So, and I expect for that to be the same for the playoffs. So, and they have the well-rounded team and they have all the tools, they have all the pieces. Is it going to be easy? Heck no. But it is a dagger for the Phoenix Suns for Devin Booker to be out nonetheless.
I mean, Johanna, let me be honest with you. For this series, I don't think it's going to matter much. I mean, of course, you want your best players out there at all times, right? That's always, especially in the playoffs. But this is one of the reasons why you get why you want to win the number 1 seed, because you get the most favorable matchup, really in each supposed to be in each round until you get to the conference finals. You really get what should be the best matchup for you. I still think they're going to beat that Phoenix is going to take down New Orleans, probably in 6 games. New Orleans with Booker out, they may get one more game in this series. But like you said, Phoenix, they've shown that they can already win without Chris Paul or Devin Booker. They're deep enough to do that. Second round, luckily, whoever it is out of Dallas and Utah, we still don't know about Luka Doncic. So even if Dallas wins that, they're not going to beat Phoenix without him. And they're probably not going to beat Utah. And if Utah wins, they're not going to beat Phoenix even without Devin Booker. So they'll be good there. They're going to need Devin Booker and everybody in the conference finals if they can get that far, especially if they play the Warriors. They're not beating a healthy Warriors. They're not beating them without Devin Booker. I'm going to tell you that right now. Not a healthy Warriors. Now, if something happens with the Warriors, that's different. But that's when they need Booker. They need everybody there, because I called this probably from December. I said that's going to be the Western Conference Finals. And I still expect that to be the West Finals, is the Warriors and the Suns. And I think it goes 7. I'll say that now. I think that series goes 7 as long as most of the key parts are there.
For a Suns and Warriors series?
Yeah. If that's the conference finals, as long as most of the key the key ingredients are there, Booker, Paul, Ayton, Clay, Steph, Draymond, Jordan Poole, all the more key parts are there, that series is going to go 7 in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. And I know we're all, if you're a Suns fans or maybe even a Warriors fans or maybe just basketball, everyone's wanting to see a Suns and Warriors matchup in the Western Conference Finals.
That's the matchup.
It only seems fit the 2 best in the West. And we saw how those games, they rolled out during the regular season, and it was a preview of what's to come. So if Suns don't make it that far, knock on wood,
I think they should be able to, honestly. I really do. Booker hurts. He's going to hurt, him being out. But like you said, this is a deep team. I mean, they go about 9-10 players deep. So, or they can. As the playoffs
Mhm.
go on, the lineups usually get a little shrink a little bit, get us a little smaller, but they have the depth to be able to beat some of these other teams like New Orleans, Dallas, Utah on their way to the conference finals, in my opinion. You know.
Yes, I agree. And talking about Dallas, Luka Doncic is ruled out for Game 3, which is tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, what's that?
I just said exactly. I'm saying he's still out. We still don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, he's recovering from a left calf strain. It was hopes again of just another player hoping to be ready for Game 3. Seeing action. He's out there, practicing, but still not ready enough to just be present in that game against Utah tonight. So it was kind of more of a last minute decision that was made because they were still hoping, even earlier today, even this morning, that he could probably make it, but finally as it got closer, the definitive decision of him being out came out. So they're playing Utah, and that that Dallas seemed like it was a favorite in that series. Of course, given that Luka was playing. Now
Yes.
with him being out, he's going to definitely be out Game 3. I see it as a possibility him even being out for Game 4. If that's the case, this series can take a turn, and Jazz can capitalize against Dallas.
Well, here's the thing, Johanna. As far as Luka goes, with that injury with the calf strain, there's another prominent player on a very prominent team. I think about 3 years ago, they had that was diagnosed with the calf strain, but it ended up not being a calf strain. I'm talking about Kevin Durant. It was an Achilles tear, or he ended up tearing his Achilles because he came back too soon from a calf strain. However that went. They're going to be as cautious as they can because here's the thing. Dallas is not winning a championship this year. Okay? They're not going to beat Phoenix even with Luka Doncic. And if they were lucky enough to get past Phoenix, if they got to the second round, I don't think they beat the Warriors if the Warriors get that far with, even with Luka Doncic. So they're not ready for a championship yet. I would not risk this guy's future just to try to get out of the first round, you know what I mean, and beating the Jazz. I would be as cautious with it because he's their franchise now. They've given him, he came in, Dirk retired, he took over the reins, he's the guy. Don't squander that over, we think we can beat the Jazz. Because you're not, now obviously every franchise, we think we can win, but they're not beating Phoenix in the second round. It's just not going to happen. So I wouldn't even, honestly, I'd be surprised if we saw him in this game. In this series at all. I'd be shocked. I really would.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, they keep saying Game 3 or Game 4. Maybe no, I doubt it. I just doubt it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He hasn't already played the first 2 games with Dallas. You're already pretty much halfway down through the series. Just you don't even come back. Like you're saying. You made a good point with KD, and sometimes you think it's you can probably play through it. And we know some players who have through an injury, and even if they're at the last, in that cusp end of recovery, but why even risk it when it can be something more? And you're in the playoffs, but you're probably not going to make it very far. So just sit it out, get better. And if your team does end up making it out of this round, you're just that much better for the second round. So so we'll just go ahead and continue to follow this and what happens with Luka and see if it is just a calf strain or if it turns out into be anything more.
I hope it's not more than a calf strain, but I think they need to, give him the proper rest. You know what I mean? The proper rest and rehabilitation, so it doesn't, because it can easily become something more, as we've seen in the past. So just take it easy is what I'm saying.
Right. No, and exactly. Again, going back to that, it is the playoffs. It's not a regular season, match or game. So the playoffs are that much more intense. They're a lot more grueling. You have more action. So definitely give it that rest, because even if you come back for a game and you get some minutes in there, they're not going to be easy minutes. They're going to be grueling minutes. So, and then you can go ahead and you're taking 2 steps forward and you can take 10 steps back. So I do agree with you on that end. But then we'll go ahead and talking playoffs. We'll go ahead and just drill down. We mentioned Memphis and Minnesota playing and how that game was going. and that game is live at the moment.
Memphis is getting their heads bashed right now. It's 51-29 Minnesota in the second
Yep, they're
quarter.
in the second quarter for just over 4 minutes to go. So I don't know that Memphis would, I won't say it's impossible for Memphis to go ahead and come back from this, but right now Minnesota, they're winning it thus far and going into the half, and then this is, you mentioned it, series is tied.
Yeah, this one I picked. This is another one I picked to go seven games. Yeah, a lot of times with young teams in the NBA, they can be inconsistent when you have a lot of guys that haven't had postseason experience. So this is going to be one of those series. Like the first game, you saw Minnesota came out and just they gave Memphis. It's almost like they surprised Memphis for whatever reason. I don't know why they would have been surprised, but they came out. They had more energy. And then the second game, it was almost like they came out and said, "Okay, well, we got the split. We're good. We got a split on the road. Now we go back home." And now you see in game 3, they come out again with all the energy in the world, and they're up by, over 20 points right now in the, leading into halftime. So I think this is going to be a back and forth series. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if it went, Minnesota, Memphis, up until game 7. They just trade wins back and forth. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, that's more of what I expected out of happening for this series. It's kind of being a back and forth type of series. Like I give, I win one, you win one type of deal. So
exactly.
Unless, one of these two teams, whether it's Minnesota or Memphis, at one point they end up, dominating and, just not looking back and winning it all and going on a streak. But from everything that we've seen and the style of play and all of that, it's going to be a back and forth series in my opinion. We talked Dallas Mavericks. That's the next game after Memphis and Minnesota, Dallas and Utah. And then following that, we have Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets.
Yes.
So that one, Golden State is leading 2-0. Is there a chance that maybe Denver will go ahead and get a win in this, or will we see a sweep in this first round?
I tell you this, they better go ahead and get a win tonight. Because if they don't win tonight, hey, pack it up, Johanna. They can just pack it up. It's time for Cancun, basically. They don't win tonight, just get ready for Cancun because it's vacation time. For some reason, last week leading into the playoffs, I heard quite a few analysts picking Denver to win this series. And if not picking them, saying, "Oh, it's going to go far." I'm like, I just don't see it. For one, they don't have their second best player, and I don't think they have their third best player either. Jamal Murray's out. He's their second best player. Nikola Jokic is a great player. I don't think he should win MVP, for the second time in a row, but he's still a great player nonetheless. He's not enough to beat a healthy Warriors team by himself. He's just not. He's just not. Just like the Suns, the Warriors are deep. That's why I think if the Warriors and Suns meet up in the playoffs, it's going 7 games. Both teams are deep, and they're both led by veterans. They got veteran leadership. Nikola Jokic, he's a one-man band right now. And for whatever reason, Draymond Green is really making it tough. Now, we know Draymond's a great defender, but he got like a half a foot of height on Draymond, and he can't do nothing with Draymond. So, yeah, they really don't have much of a chance, honestly. So if they don't win tonight, just pack it up. It's over. If they win tonight, then, of course, you always got a shot if you're down 2-1. But, yeah, if not tonight, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because we saw, of course, game 1 was 107-123, and then the second game was 106-126. So we're already starting to see a pattern. It's like 20 more or less, point difference. So if Denver does win, they're probably going to get no more, if anything, any more than 2 wins if they can even get that against the Warriors. But I really don't see it going 6-7 games, possibly a game 5. I will give Denver possibility of winning 1 game.
I think that's what I got. Cause I did a bracket before the playoffs started. I believe I picked this series to go 5 games, Warriors in 5. They just don't have enough, the Nuggets. They just don't have enough. Mm-hmm. Honestly, even with Jamal Murray there, I still think the Warriors would beat them, but it might go longer. The Warriors are just a better team. They just are. When they're healthy, they're a better team. That's all it is to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, definitely not. not beating the Warriors in that one. But we'll go ahead and go off to, I just lost it. Give me 1 second.
Mm.
Going off to what we have facing off tomorrow. Of course, we have the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks will be the first game of the day. Then we have Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. And then we have the Phoenix Suns and New Orleans Pelicans, the last game of the day. And all of these are, of course, game three.
I think I lost you there. Oh, or did I? No.
There we go. I have you.
Okay. Okay. Now we're good.
All right. So I want to go ahead and before we go ahead and close out this show, there's one thing that I saw, and I don't know if you saw this, Chris, with Golden State Warriors star Draymond Green expressing his displeasure with NBA voting, how he was disgusted by it in a way. I guess that's the word he used.
Like voting for awards?
Yes, for voting for awards.
Nah, I think I heard something, but I didn't like what. So tell me what happened. Like, what exactly did he not like? Or
So
I understand it, but
yeah, he does. He doesn't agree with the fact that it's the media that's voting for the awards, and then going in there and kind of mentioning that some of them may have personal reasons for why they wouldn't vote for a player, and when it probably should be deserved that they win and they give it to someone else, or maybe favoritism. So like having more of those personal issues taken into effect, when it comes to the voting for the awards. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
I mean, I've heard that argument a lot, but who does it? So my question would be, well, then who do you want to vote?
Yeah,
that's my question for Draymond. Like, who do you want to vote? Please don't say the fans. I'll be honest with you. I've never, even as a kid, I've never been a fan of the fans voting for All-Stars. It's just a popularity contest. Now I get it. You want to see your favorite players, and I get all that, but you should still want to see the best players in an All-Star game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is an All-Star game. It's the best of the best.
It's an All-Star game. So in a way, I get what he's saying, but I think with the, when it comes to the media, yeah, they're human too. We're media. We're media as well. We are human. People do have favorites and things like that. But for the most part, I think media is probably the most, I guess, unbiased most of the time. Not always, but most of the time, I would say. Because here's the thing. If you have players voting, it's going to be the same thing he's talking about.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking when I was reading this. Like, well, you have the players. It's going to be the same thing. Yeah. Coaches, like who do you have vote? Like,
the coaches have so with the All-Stars, I think it's the fans, media, and coaches have a certain percentage of the vote. So if you made it coaches for the awards, I wouldn't have as big a problem with that. But also, they're still human. Maybe they hold a grudge or play favorites over whatever it is. So anyway you go, you're probably gonna. That's an argument you can make for anything. It's like, oh, well, they're playing favorites, or there's a narrative. I get that, but I think the way it is and the way it's been now. I mean, now what was he saying that in response to, or like who was he talking about? Like the MVP this year, or like Defensive Player of the Year? Like what was he talking? Was it like a specific thing he was talking about relating to that?
Not that I read. It was just more of that he just is in agreement of the way that the voting is done. I didn't see anything like specific triggering it.
Yeah.
So it could be. I don't have those details at the moment. But that's
I mean, it's tough. I mean, because it's not a perfect system. You know what I mean? It's
never going to be.
Thank you. It's never going to be perfect. You took the words right out of my mouth, Johanna. It's never going to be perfect. I mean, you kind of have to do the best you can. I mean, because back in the day, I believe players did vote up until like 1981. I think 81 was the first year that the media came in and became like the sole voters for the, I believe it was 81 for the NBA MVP, I believe. So, we've been having, that's been in place for, 40, 50, 40 some years now, whatever it is. Not a math major, but it's been a long time now. Yeah. So I don't really have an issue with it. I'm not a Hall of Fame voter. I don't have one of those yet. Hopefully one of us or both of us will have one day, but
One day.
not right now. But I don't have a big issue with it. And I mean, I've heard other players having, talk about this before, saying how they don't like how it's the media that gets to vote for this. But, when you ask them, they don't always have the best solution. So then what do we do?
Yeah. And then one of the things too, it's part of their CBA. It's part of the CBA as well. So if you're not in agreement with it, and then when you're going and talking through those terms during the CBA, then bring it up then, bring a solution to the table, or, erase your disagreement with it. So we'll see when the next CBA rolls around and see if there's any changes or anyone that does decide to speak up against it. But
it won't change. They just talking.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought too. Yeah. So are you ready for some playoff basketball tonight, Chris?
I'm always ready. Well, actually, this game just got closer now with so Memphis is now only down by 7 going into halftime. So we might have a good second half here.
Oh, wow. I think they must have heard us, Chris.
Hey, you know what? Hey, everybody's listening, right? Everybody's listening to the Inside Sports Network. So the Grizzlies were listening to us at a timeout or something. Somebody told them something. And they came back out, and I mean, within like 5 minutes, they're back in the game.
Yeah, that's insane. I know. It was like 20 points pretty much, and now it's 7.
Yeah, they were down by like 22 or 23 points. That's crazy.
Crazy. Hey, anything. That's the thing about sports. Anything can happen. It can surprise
you. That's why we love it, right?
Exactly. All right, Chris. That makes everything we have for our listeners today. But before we go ahead and sign off, let our wonderful people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Criss Partee. That's CRISSPARTEE. You can find my podcast on Full Press Coverage, and that is the Kourtside crossover. I'm getting things mixed up here. The Kourtside crossover with Criss Partee. Find me there every week. And and check me out on Deadspin as well. Find me there pretty much every day writing, although I'm on vacation for the next week and a half. But after that, I'll be back. So
there we are. Yep. And we're going to miss you while you're on vacation.
I'll be back. It'll go by fast, I'm sure, unfortunately.
I know when you're on vacation, that time just flies. You're like, I just started vacation and I'm already have to go back.
It always does. But it's cool. It's cool.
All right, everyone. You can find me, Johanna-Rosalye, on Instagram and Twitter at JRosalye. That's JROSALYE. And of course, you can find Inside Sports Network on Instagram at Inside Sports Net and on Twitter at Inside Sports _. Make sure to go ahead and also visit our website, InsideSports.net. And of course, don't forget to download from wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Download Kourtside, download Inside Sports Talk, and also for our Spanish language speakers, go ahead and look up Punto Deportivo and download our podcast. And we have a new podcast coming to you tomorrow, Friday. So stay tuned and follow us. And until next time, until next week, this was Kourtside. Everyone, have a great night.